Welcome in the head football coach at BYU, Kalani Sita, to begin breaking down each and every one of these recruits over the next hour, along with Coach Take and his coordinators, Ty Detmer and Elisa Tuiaki. Coach, welcome back to Studio B.
Gentlemen, good to see you.
Hey, from a fantastic Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson impersonation brought in by Satemanali to a helicopter ride that is going viral. It's been an interesting, fun day. Coach, how you feeling?
Oh, it's been a lot of fun, and I think that you have to give a lot of credit to our Brett Pine in the communications department, and also David Almodova in the marketing department for putting on such a great event today for our signing day and having all of our alumni involved. It's been really nice to see all these former players from different eras and different decades be involved in announcing the signing, and some of them did a great job and. The Rock, and I think Brett Kiesel did a great one too with his beard, the fear of the beard type of deal. But it was just a lot of fun, and those that were on, in our facility make the announcements. It was just that's the sweetest part about it was being able to see all the former players come back and be involved and have a hand. A lot of them have a hand in our recruiting, but more than anything, it was just nice to celebrate welcoming the new addition to our family with these guys.
Where was your helicopter ride in 1994?
I don't think I'm ever going to do a helicopter ride. When I signed it, gave it to my dad to fax it later, and I went to seminary. And so that was my highlight of my signing day. So times have changed. Yeah. But, helicopter's not my deal.
It was fun to watch you FaceTime with some of the signees. I thought that was a cool addition. And one of them, I think it was Ben Bywater, he said, "Yeah, I'm missing class." And you said, "Hey, you probably need to go to class."
Well, I mean, I think we have such a great relationship with our recruits and our players and everyone that's involved. I mean, since I've been here, our coaching staff, our support staff, and everybody's been involved. We talk about it being a family, but that's really what it is, And for our recruits to have that feel when they come on site on the official visit, it's a huge compliment to our what we have going on already, and basically the school and everyone that's involved. So it's been a lot of fun, and just looking forward to to next year's class, but really looking forward to the new faces that we're going to add to the team, and they fit exactly what we're trying to establish here with our program, and they're all what BYU is about.
What was this year's recruiting experience like compared to last year's obviously accelerated effort, because you got hired in December and 6 weeks later you got to sign a class?
Yeah, well, I mean, last year we had to quickly go through everything, and when I got hired, that was most of my attention right away was getting on recruiting and trying to put a class together in a month and a half, and we were able to do it, And I thought that that piggybacking with what happened with Coach Mendenhall and his staff, they did a great job at recruiting. Leading up to that season, to that signing class last year, and so can't take a lot of credit for it. They just did a great job with the team and with the program. So recruiting is part of that as well, and we were able to benefit from that. But we also had to get into some recruiting battles with some guys at the end last year, and it felt really rushed, you know what I mean? And although it was a lot of fun, it was nice now to have some time to get some kids recruited and bring them on their trips and spend some time with them, throughout the whole year, and establish a great relationship with them, with our team and with our players, and mostly with our coaches.
We'll break down all the individual guys coming up, but how close were you overall to getting almost everyone you wanted?
Well, I think I mentioned before, I always prepare for the worst, right? So no one's going to sign was my thought. It was like going into my wedding. She's not going to say yes. She's not even going to show up. And so when my wife showed up, it was great, So
that's your best signing ever.
yeah, definitely. I think I was preparing for the worst, but we kind of knew going into it that it was going to be a pretty good class, and I think that it's really hard to keep it any secret right now. And we had all the nameplates and everything ready, and I can't say there was a lot of surprises because there weren't. We just knew who our relationship, who they were with the strongest, and kind of had a good feeling when we talked to them and their families and being in their homes. And so I think we were able to plan that way accordingly, and we were able to capitalize on some guys, really a small number of them later in the recruiting part, but I think that a lot of that it clouds a lot of what happened with the guys that were committed already from a year ago, and some of them a couple of years ago, where Jackson McChesney comes into concern. But a lot of these guys have been committed, and they knew from the very beginning that they wanted to be here. And so I want to make sure and highlight those guys and just thank them for being committed this entire time, because they actually helped us recruit a lot of our guys, and just by them being already part of our class, it's been really nice for us to have guys like that have been committed from the very beginning. But it would be vital for them to help us get those guys that we got in the last second as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, yet you still went after 4- and 5-star guys, and whatever, if you like the stars or not, whatever. There's some talented guys.
Mm-hmm.
You went after it. You were pretty aggressive with this group.
Yeah, I mean, especially if they're LDS and if we feel like we have a good relationship with them, you have to get them to say no all the time in order for us to not recruit them. So we're always going to try our best, and even till the last bit, we're going to swing until we have no shot, And so I'm speaking for our coaching staff. Those guys are resilient and they work hard, and so obviously, if we do our job and the burden's on our side to open up those recruiting, the recruiting lines and the communication with these recruits, and to just basically give them a reason why BYU, just get your foot in the door and we'll go from there. So, and sometimes you lose a couple, but you can't be afraid to compete, and if you really want them, you got to go out and get them, and you got to show them that you want them, and sometimes you win some, sometimes you don't, but for the most part, we get who we think fits into this system and into our school. It's a unique school, and it's different with the honor code and everything, and we highlight that part of it. That's why we got some of the non-LDS kids that signed, they like that part. And so in order to do that, your coaching staff needs to be out and about, and they need to be ready to compete for the best, to get the best players, and we're willing to do that.
The BYU head football coach, Kalani Sitake, and husband to 6-star wife recruit Timberly Sitake with
Thank
us
you.
in Studio B. You're welcome. Yeah, you're going to get a pat on the back for that later tonight. Kalani, let's focus on the focus of this year's recruiting class, which when you look at the numbers and just kind of seeing what you signed, we want to know why. It was heavy on defensive linemen and defensive backs, guys you can move around. Why was that the focus this year?
Well, the goal is to get the best football players, and we have, looking at our recruiting list, we have a bunch of guys that are versatile in the way that they play the game, meaning that they just don't play one position in high school. I mean, you have guys that played corner and then also played safety and played running back and receiver, guys that played, quarterback that can play any other position, guys that play D-end that can play D-tackle, and a D-tackle can play O-line that, there's a lot of guys that are versatile. And so looking at it, the guys that we recruited at O-line, there's 2 of them that we signed that's where they're going to be. But from everywhere else, we have so much flexibility with our players that, you look at all these guys are so unique and different that some guys get bigger. And actually some of these guys have gotten bigger in the last, 6 months that we've been recruiting them, and they're still growing. And so it's difficult for me to say that this is going to be their spot. But right now, the versatility and the athleticism is there. And so as they start to grow and mature and develop in our off-season conditioning and everything, some of them going on missions, some of them not coming right away, they'll be able to factor into a position and actually settle into a position that will that whether they fill in the other spots, but right now they're a versatile group and they can go in different positions.
Solid first half for the head coach, Kalani Sitake. We'll see how you finish the game coming up in the segment number 2 here.
BYU was the second half.
So much pressure. So much pressure with you guys.
A single-digit game again.
Made a good decision by deferring to the second half. So